Namaste and welcome to Thrive, the live chat series. This is your host, Annu Gaidhu, registered Ayurvedic health practitioner as well as yoga teacher. I'm so excited to be able to have this conversation with our guest expert this week. Her name is Karolina, and she is a fitness coach as well as a nutrition coach with her own business called SweatGlow. I'm particularly excited to be able to chat with her today because she's going to be sharing with us some things that are important to focus on when it comes to our fitness, when it comes to our health, easy solutions that we can do right at home during the COVID-19 situation. And as always, this is brought to you by Greeniche Natural Health, always looking after you in our community, staying healthy and staying positive. So without further ado, just give me a moment while I bring on our guest. Awesome. Hi, Karolina. Namaste and welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to be able to talk to you and your fitness journey and just kind of find out more about you and SweatGlow and how you started out.
Thank you. I'm super happy to be here today.
Awesome. I wanted to, just kind of talk about how we can stay active and healthy during this time. I'm noticing that, just the motivation in general has been really tough. Like the more time that, you have at home to kind of think, I find that motivation, especially now that the season's changing as well, has been kind of dying down. And so I'm curious to just know a little bit about yourself and your fitness journey and how come nutrition as well as fitness.
So I began fitness and nutrition coaching around 9 years ago. So almost a decade now in the work. And I specialize in working with women. Most of the women that I work with are moms. They also have a job. We have all the things like the house and, multiple responsibilities of a family and everything else. And it's always the biggest question, right? Like, how do you keep up when everything is just craziness around you? Now, tying into your question about like right now, motivation in the pandemic, I'm finding that even between, we're in conversations amongst fitness professionals, like we are finding this is a commonality for our clients. Everything is so crazy right now that the first thing to go out the window is fitness and nutrition.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like that's so what I want to say with that is this is normal. Like what we're experiencing right now of this, I can't make myself work out. That's okay. We're kind of going through like a pretty historical moment in time right now. So I think we can afford ourselves a little bit of grace and just understand that this is a situation that is out of the norm completely for everyone worldwide. So we're all sharing into this common experience, and just being compassionate with ourselves is going to take us a long way into keeping our mental health.
Yes, I loved absolutely everything that you said. So much wisdom, I feel, because it is really tough. I find that mental stability, especially, you have on one hand a cheerleader that's helping you, and then on the other hand you have your worst critic. And so I wanted to ask just how you manage that. How is that something that you were able to, within 9 years, of your practice, cultivate such an attitude of wisdom and positivity and compassion as you share?
Well, it's not always like this. It's not always like sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes I lose my stuff too. Sometimes I don't know, where my head is at, and that's okay. I think the biggest lesson that I have learned in the 9 years is that, like, just normalizing whatever it is that I'm experiencing at the time. This is normal. This, whatever, for example, obstacle I'm facing is like, this is not going to last forever. It's okay. It's not going to last forever. That just having like that thought allows you to eventually start finding, possibility into how to move out of the stuck situation that you're in.
Yeah, I so appreciate that, because I think that's the hardest thing to do in those moments of really just being able to hone in on grounding yourself and taking a moment to breathe. I know even in my practice with yoga, and it's so funny because sometimes whenever, you know, I have a chocolate bar or something and somebody's like, but you're a yogi, you're not supposed to. And I'm like, I'm still human, you know, like this is a part of the process, and we're all just kind of learning and also experiencing different parts of ourselves, which I find is the most beautiful experience. And so I just wanted to kind of get more curious about your own personal journey. And was there a pivoting point where you felt like, okay, I'm going to decide to make fitness part of my way of living essentially now?
Right. Yeah. So for me, the way that it started is I've always been involved in sports and athletics from a very young age. You know, it was dance and gymnastics and everything that you could imagine, team sports and everything. I've always enjoyed movement. And to the point, like I was one of those kids that really struggled in school because I was, you know, it was demanded of me that I sit for.
Yeah, guilty.
Right. And I think a lot of people can relate. But back in the 80s, when I was growing up, like it wasn't really a thing to cater, you know, to those, you know, specific, you know, learning needs of certain kids. So a lot of us, they just kind of like threw us under the bus, and it was like, well, you don't fit in the mold of what school is, like too bad for you, but you're screwed, right?
Yeah.
And so that you definitely with, you know, seeking something different, because you know you're not made for kind of like the office life. I couldn't imagine myself, for example, in a 9-to-5 job where, you know, it's the same like routine. I was like, no, that's not life. And so because movement is such a big part of just enjoyment of life for me, I'm also a dancer. I'm a Latin dancer, salsa dancer. I love that. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a living out of it. Why not? And then, you know, fast forward 9 years, and I, you know, realizing that, for example, that nutrition, you can have all the movement in the world, but if you don't understand certain basic things about nutrition, you're not going to move forward with goals. Then that's why I decided kind of like to specialize my practice into that. And it's worked wonders. And I work mostly online. I have clients in over 10 countries, and it's wonderful. Wow. Because through the magic of the internet, you know, I'm able to reach, you know, women in all corners of the world, and we do amazing things together. And it's all in a way that fits what I need for my life.
That's such a powerful thing, and it's such an honor, you know, to be amongst other women just as yourself who seek to find that within other women and to draw out that beauty that's within all of us. I find that to be an incredible thing, just not only as a personal practice, but also one for the community that's so important, because in my experience with my clients, I find that mental health, in addition to the physical practice of the motion, is the connecting piece, which I find is so prevalent now especially. And so I'm curious to know how you're experiencing that with yourself and clients possibly.
Yeah. So for me, I'm very open about just in general, like my struggles, my life, everything, because I'm just naturally an extroverted person. I seek community, and part of the way that I seek connection with other people is through sharing of my own stories. So I do struggle with mental health. I have gone through periods of depression. I experience anxiety attacks sometimes, and this is something relatively new for me, or perhaps it's something that maybe I had experienced before, but I hadn't realized what they were. I didn't have the vocabulary for it, right? But now that we're having more information about, everything related to mental health, like now I understand the things that are happening. And so it's actually very valuable for me to be able to experience these things myself, because it affords me a very different optic from a coach who has never gone through those struggles before. Mm-hmm. A lot of women struggle with anxiety, with depression, with, feeling like the world is on your shoulders and everything's going to collapse on top of you. And so being able to personally relate to that and say, first of all, you are heard, you are seen, I got you, we're doing this together. That alone, is magical. Like that alone changes and everything for a woman who has potentially felt very unsupported up until that point. So I've little by little, I'm learning to become, just grateful for every single experience, because in the end, that is what has brought me in this journey and to what I am today.
Wow, it's, I'm just like bursting inside with so much love, because there's so many things that I could relate to in this experience. And I feel like there's so many valuable life lessons. And I feel that you can only recognize them as life lessons once you're able to receive them as such and not be resistant against what's going on. And what you had said happened to me when I was young at 16. It's actually the start of my yoga journey. What led me to that was that discovery of understanding, okay, there's this mind that's telling me one thing, but then there's also my body, which is feeling strong and empowered in this moment and possibly can hold on to another breath, And I found that was that moment of really shifting my attitude towards a lot of things that I had in life. And I wanted to know from you, the language piece, once you were able to identify some of the struggles that you were experiencing, what did that do for you, I guess, or evolve in your understanding of life?
Oh, it's super powerful. There's different trains of thoughts in this. Like some people say like, oh, labels are not good. Like, don't label yourself. Don't put yourself in a box. But the flip side of the coin to that is like, labels are actually helpful to some people, because once you can give a name to something that you're experiencing, it completely shifts the power. You're able to identify it, and you're able to relate it to other people's experiences, and you're able to learn about it directly from, the people doing research on it and conveying their own life stories. So that's not a one size fits all approach. If some people don't want labels, go for it. Go through your life without labeling yourself in any shape. Totally cool, because that works for you. At the same time, understand that others very much need that piece of connection or vocabulary, because that is the stepping point into a new and better life for them.
Yes, and that leads me to my next question about acceptance and about really just identifying what's going on, but not judging it. So being able to approach from a space of an observer. And I think for me in my personal practice, what that looked like was almost self-love. Like now that I'm able to recognize what it was, it was essentially me being able to comfort and soothe that little girl who was feeling so anxious or so scared at a time where possibly maybe I didn't get that support. And so talking about it is so, so important. And I know that you also were mentioned in a book, and I wanted to highlight that and really speak to your brilliance. So please share with me what happened.
Oh, thank you so much. So in my career, I've actually, part of what I've done in my work is I co-authored 2 certification programs and 2 textbooks for the fitness community. So one is in training and coaching women, and the other one is training and coaching pre and postpartum women specifically. And so those are kind of like my areas of strongest knowledge and expertise. And I'm also trained as a doula, which is, how it ties in nicely. And so, I do get like my story mentioned every once in a while in different books. I just was interviewed for, a third one coming out, and it's kind of surreal because I live in Canada. English is my second language. And suddenly, I'm doing all this work of writing and teaching others when as I mentioned, I used to struggle in school, and suddenly I'm in the teaching position. Like I am the teacher of the teachers. So it's kind of like, it's surreal. It's super fun. And I'm so appreciative of every opportunity that I've been given. And at the same time, I don't take myself very seriously, because that's just not who I am as a person. I'm very playful, and I'm very aware that all of this is fleeting. Like you're always reinventing yourself. You always have that freedom to play around and become whoever the heck you want to be. So in that freedom, I play around. I grow and I expand, and then I shrink when I need it to, and I it's a wonderful setup that I have created for myself.
Honestly, like it makes me want to be like, can I sit there too? Can I join you as well?
Yes.
Right. I love your attitude and just about your outlook on life, because I find that play and that innocence is so necessary these days, especially with just considering that we don't even have opportunities to just take that breath and just being able to sit there in whatever's going on, but be able to just be okay with it, be able to honor that moment for what it is, and then move on and make it better and have that empowerment inside. And so I just wanted to ask you regarding women and your specialties, especially with your experience. Was there a particular reason as to why you focused on women more so as opposed to young people, let's say, in general?
Absolutely. I love working with women. Like, women are absolute powerhouses. I don't care who you are. I don't know. I don't need to know anything about you. Like, I can tell you, like, there are some like talents and skills and just like incredible wisdom, that once you get to know a woman really and you have that trust, it's like magic. I myself gain so much from it. So it's kind of like selfish because it's amazing. Women are amazing and I love spending time with women. So I win. At the same time, I'm able to provide something back. So for example, one of the things that we do a lot in my style of coaching is that we really take the time to kind of like to dissect ideas that we have maybe inherited, like from society, right? Like, a lot of women struggle with the fact, like right now they're coming to, to this realization, like, I screw diet culture. I'm not going to be trying and be skinny because I'm never going to fit in the size 2 jeans again. And that's fine. But then at the same time, they have this conflict of like, but I do want to look better. I did buy that dress that fits not great right now. Like, so that's like a conflict of like, how do you fight what society is demanding that you be and you're not interested, but at the same time, pursue the changes that you do want. And so a lot of people fall into the trap of thinking that if you're trying to change your body, it's automatically because you don't love yourself. You don't like yourself. You're trying to change yourself. And that's not true. It is completely possible to absolutely love yourself right now at the same time that you are doing work to be better in whatever shape or form you like it. So again, for example, for me with my playful personality, what that means is like, I love to experiment with my body just for the sake of it, because I want to see what I can do, like for no other reason. Like, there's no size that I want to be. There's no specific weight that I have to stay in to be. It's just like, ooh, I wonder if I can do this physical thing. Like, okay, let's train for it. Let's train. And then, things change. And so I like to bring kind of like that approach to the women. It's like, how would losing weight look like if you could let go of some of the hang-ups around it? How freeing would it be to just pursue your goals for the heck of it, because you can, because you're playing, because you want to see what that feels like. Maybe you hate it, maybe you love it. It's okay to experiment.
I had to write some things down while you're talking so I don't forget about them, because there's so many things I wanted to say. But first and foremost, I think just about what you had talked about making it playful and not making it like a chore, something that I found is so important for me, especially with my own weight loss struggles as a young person. Throwing away the scale and never looking at it again was one of the best things I have ever done. It was so liberating. And I just kind of noticed that there's these habitual behaviors that we inherit since we're young that we're not even aware of, that can trigger certain feelings inside of us, in which if we haven't had that training or opportunity even to self-regulate, to understand where these the social context is what dictates that narrative, and whether it's going to be a fruitful narrative or one that's not so inclusive and dividing is is obviously not going to be so healthy on the individual. And so I wanted to hear from you more about during this time, what's keeping you, or what's your mantra, would you say, or something that is keeping you motivated during this unprecedented time, like when things are changing and it's just unpredictability everywhere?
Yes. So one thought that I try to kind of like come back to often is I do the best I can. And the best I can is going to be different on each day, each minute, because, so it happens to us. Suddenly we have like a burst of energy and we feel like we can do all the things, and that's great. Like tackle all the things, and that's awesome. You're doing your best. But then, something happens, something brings you down, something in your day, and then suddenly you don't have the same, push or drive. That's okay. Within what is available to you, do your best. So same with nutrition. It's like you're gonna make, you want to go and have fast food. Totally cool. You don't need to feel guilty about it. Just maybe what is the slightly better choice that you can make within that fast food option? Like slightly better. It's always slightly better. And so, yeah, in the context of a day, I do the best I can. Right now, I'm doing the best that I can, and tomorrow I will try again. And some days we're gonna, hit it out of the ballpark, and other days it means barely getting out of bed. Doesn't matter. Like, it's still your best, and that's still commendable.
Absolutely. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner, and something that I had to shift, especially as someone of being of a Canadian context, but also having an Indian heritage and culture. Back home, the lifestyle is so connected to nature, in which you are striving to live your life in harmony with nature. And getting back to that mentality for me has looked like almost seeing how I can strive to live my daily life in the natural rhythms of nature. So going according to my body. And I also specialize in supporting women and young people, but I noticed my pull towards that was because of the opportunity to have more and more people in this community connect to nature, and being able to connect to those things that are constantly changing, constantly moving, but are so beautiful at the same time. And we're part of the whole journey as a whole, I wanted to ask you, what are some tips you can give somebody who is just looking to start, maybe after hearing this conversation and is inspired? What would you share with them as a tip to get motivated?
Oh my gosh, I have so many tips. I love talking about like how to get stuff done, because so here's what happens. Somebody wants to get in shape, and almost immediately what they do is like, that's it. No more sugar, no more flour, no more gluten, no more soda, no more like all the stuff that they've been surviving on for the past, 6 months or whatever. They're like, no more. And you know how long that lasts? I don't know, like half a day?
Yeah,
like,
probably.
Like it's just, we can't, right? Because it's too much change that we're trying to tackle at once. And if you add to that, you had a stressful day at your work, and your child is sick and crying, and then you had a fight with your partner, like just when everything crumbles down, your good intentions are going to fly out the window. So set yourself up for success. And how do you do that? Is by choosing one simple action. One thing. Is that going to mean I'm going to have one extra glass of water? That's perfect. If that is what you can manage right now, that's your thing. If you're like, no, I think I'm going to start going for a run every day, and you can actually manage that, then do your run. However, if the thought of a run is too much, and you're not finding the time, and you're not finding your sneakers, like your runners, and you're not finding babysitting for your children, it's not going to work out. So scale it back, make the change smaller, because you want to build a small success, because that's going to, what is going to inject you with the energy to be like, oh my God, I'm totally killing it. Like, let me add one more thing now that I feel prepared. And that is the kind of coaching that I do. It's called habit-based coaching, which means that we change habits very slowly and gradually until eventually the changes add up. And for example, after a year, like the transformations are insane because of the one small thing that you were able to succeed at, and then you added another small thing, and then you added another small thing, and at the end of the year, that's like 30 new small things that you're doing all together, and they have incredible impact in your everyday life and their habits. Now you're doing them naturally. So that's my tip. That is how I work with my clients. And so whenever you feel that pull to do everything at once, scale it back, make it realistic, that you are certain that you'll be able to kill it daily and kill it and then build on that.
Yes, I can see, your trainer strength just beaming through right now. I love it because it's so true to what you're saying, because that's how I find even with myself, it's really just self-awareness. I find, just being real with yourself and being okay with if it doesn't get done today, or if you weren't able to do that, because I find that, life is never going to be linear in the way that we imagine it to be. But if these roadblocks come in the way, such as what we're collectively experiencing right now, then what an opportunity almost to just kind of pause and recollect and see how you can stand up back again and try, even better next time. And so regarding some exercises, what would you suggest for somebody who's looking to kickstart their weight loss journey right now and is flooded with those, I'm going to do this, and this? What would you say to that?
So like for general information, like what people need to know is that the biggest bang for your buck is when you strength train. When you combine, lifting some weights, something like some dumbbells or whatever. Women are typically afraid to lift weights because they're like, oh, I don't want to look like a man. That doesn't happen. Like, we don't have the hormones for it. You're not gonna end up looking masculine. And it's not like you wake up one day suddenly looking like He-Man and be like, oh, damn, I overdid it. Like, it's not.
I'm not sure where it even came from, but I was just like,
I don't know. Yeah, it's like, no, it's not a thing. Like, and what happens is that building muscle does give you like the firm toned look that most women want. That's where it comes from, like from lifting weights, not from just, running on a treadmill. Like, all those things are all great if that's what you love. But if you're doing it only because you think that's the only way to get that kind of body, you can kind of like put that to rest and start reimagining your fitness. For somebody brand new to fitness, there is no better way to start than walking, because it takes you outside, it connects you with nature. Suddenly you're saying hi to neighbors. Like, all of that has an impact on your nervous system and how you're feeling, on your hormones, on how your brain is functioning. And all of that is going to impact your health for better. You're feeling better. You're activating your body, your circulation, oxygen, everything. It's wonderful. So if you're totally like out of shape, you haven't done anything in forever, don't stress, start walking. But do it.
Yes. That's so fundamental. I can't even explain how many times I've just made it such a necessary recommendation for people to just connect with nature, go outside. But more importantly, I find that something for me has been grounding. I'll just go outside, take off my shoes, any socks, and just put the bare feet right on top of the grass. And even if I can't go for a walk, I'm just finding that connection just to plant your feet in and feel supported can make the biggest difference for your whole day,
Absolutely.
And so, the year 2020 has been full of opportunities and life lessons, as you know. I just wanted to ask you, what has been a notable lesson for you during this pandemic?
I think the biggest lesson, the biggest reminder that I've gotten out of the pandemic is that nothing in life is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. And so whatever it is that you're waiting on to magically fall into place so that you can suddenly start pursuing your dreams, you're BSing yourself. And that's you who's missing out on your own life and your own wishes and your own desires. Because what are you waiting for? I think that is the biggest teaching of this year for me. It's like, don't wait. Don't wait for anything. Tear it all down, reconstruct it again, do whatever you need so that this life is yours to how you need it to be.
Oh, I love that. Wise words, honestly. And I'm sure people will have so many questions and women just waiting to be able to hear from you more. And so, last thing I want to ask is where people can find you online and connect with you further for your services and just to be your friend.
Oh, absolutely. So you can always find me. I hang out on Facebook a lot. You can message me. You can add me as a friend. All cool. I love sharing information and just funny bits and everything in between. So by my name, you can find me Karolina Belmares. You can also find me on Instagram, and I share more fitness related content, mental health related content. And you can find me on Instagram at SweatGlow.com. Sorry, at SweatGlow. That's my Instagram handle, as well as my website, SweatGlow.com.
Got it. And I'll make sure they're in the show notes as well for everybody. Thank you so much for, joining me today. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you and learn from you and just be able to hear from your wisdom and your knowledge. So thank you for your time so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I really appreciate you too. Take care.
Bye. What an amazing conversation with Karolina Belmares of SweatGlow Fitness. She is so awesome, and it was so motivating and inspiring, and I hope everybody else that was listening was able to enjoy that chat with myself, and especially on behalf of Greeniche Natural Health, just wishing everybody a restful week, one that's filled with inspiration, bliss. And if you have any more questions for myself or Karolina, please be sure to follow our Facebook group as well as sign up for our email. So make sure that you guys sign up, and I will talk to you next time. Namaste.